Today we are going to learn about the Simpsons Diversity Index. No, it has nothing to do with this Simpson. Before understanding how to calculate Simpsons Diversity Index, let us first try to understand why we need to calculate the Simpsons Diversity Index. Very simple, to earn money. Let's imagine that you have received $10 million grant for a wildlife conservation project. So what do you do now? Obviously steal 90% of the budget. Now you're left with only $1 million to save 2 forests. So you immediately understand that $1 million is not sufficient to save 2 forests. So now you have to choose between one. So is it going to be the Amazon forest or the friend zone forest? If both forests have the same area, then which forest are you going to save? So the answer comes down to this. Here in the first table we can see that the Amazon forest have a variety of birds and animals and insects. However, for each species, the number of individual is quite low. On the other hand, in the friend zone forest, we have fewer varieties of birds and animals and insects, but for each individual species, there are numerous number of individual. So, which one has a higher biodiversity? Is it the Amazon forest or the friend zone forest? We can crack the puzzle by using the formula for Simpson's Diversity Index, and here is the formula. Now bear with me. I know it looks a bit difficult, but let me try to explain it. But first, you have to understand one thing. The letter D represents the diversity index, and by diversity we are referring to species diversity. If the D value is high, it means there is higher species diversity in that area, and higher species diversity means that the ecosystem is healthier or better. So let's try to understand this equation. As I have already mentioned that capital D represents the diversity index. Capital N represents the total number of individuals, and small n represents number of individuals in each species, and this sign denotes the total sum. Let's take this situation for an example. Here in a particular playing field, they have these many daisies, 283 dandelions, and 313 buttercups. In total, the number of flowers in this playing field is 945. So we can use all this data to calculate the Simpson's Diversity Index for flowers in this playing field using this formula. So first up, capital N, which is the total number of flower, which is 945. So we are going to place this 945 over here, and then here it is again capital N minus 1. So we know that capital N here is 945 and minus 1 is 944. So we are going to multiply 945 into 944, and then we are going to divide it with sum total of n into n minus 1. Here the small n represents the individual species. So the first one is daisy, for which the small n value is 349. So putting it over here, the equation is 349 into 349 minus 1, and that gives us 121,452. Next up, the dandelion. This time the value of small n is 283, and if you put this 283 in this equation, you end up with 79806. Similarly, you'll have to place 313 in this equation and it will result in 97,656. And for the sum total, you'll have to add these three values, and that is going to give you this. So now we are going to put all the values in the formula, and as you can see, the diversity index for this scenario turns out to be 2.98. So we are going to deploy similar strategies to calculate the biodiversity for these two regions. And the area with highest diversity index is the forest with highest biodiversity, and our funding will go on to save that particular forest. Now, although I haven't calculated the diversity index of each of these forests, but from plain sight it seems that our friend zone forest have higher biodiversity, and so our funding will probably go on to save the friend zone forest. Bad luck for the Amazon forest. So that's it about Simpsons diversity index. I hope you have understood the concept. And one more thing. To understand that D, since it's like a ratio, it does not have any units. And also remember to use this tip to calculate the sum of n into n minus 1. So that's it for today. Thank you and goodbye.